Okay, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whichever way you're watching it, or wherever you're watching it. To be fair, so then, not done a video for a while, and again, not really needed to be honest with you. We've had a lot of class contact, haven't we, through Microsoft Teams, and to be fair, for the majority of the time we've been in the lockdown, we've worked, I would say, very well. We've done a lot of stuff on a lot of the units now, which is brilliant. So a lot of the theoretical delivery is done. So the work will be now, obviously, to make sure that we keep that at the front of our mind, ready for our exams when we return. So we all know the structure and how we're going to do it. So you know you're going to have 3 lots of exams to do when you go back, because of the way it's been amalgamated together, and we've still got practical. So we know where we are. We know what we've got to do. Couple of bits that I do want to mention, because I want to keep it very sort of short and sweet. It's been a Monday. We've taught all day. We've been online, haven't we? It is a long day, to be fair. But a couple of things I do want to mention. There's 2 key areas. One's attendance, and the other one's to do with sort of work experience, really. And we'll spend a bit longer on work experience, if that's okay. Attendance-wise, we've had variance attendance. Some people have been absolutely fantastic. Some people have struggled with a little bit of attendance due to internet issues and various things, and have always come back and told me or rang me, which is, it's fine. And I think the key word is always communication. And that to me is a really key word, because the word communication is you keeping in touch with me and letting me know what's happening. And as you know, providing I know what's happening, or if there's an issue, it's fine. We can work around it. And we've had a few people that have had things in sort of families that needed to be sorted and all sorts of stuff, which is more than fine. There's no problem with any of that at all. I'm always fairly supportive with everything that you're up against and what you've got to do. I think there is a little bit of people creeping in with a bit of complacency now, and part of me understands, because part of me would think, well, it's January, we're getting towards March, it's a long slog, blah 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 blah, and going to every single session, can be a bit challenging, or a bit, it's getting the motivation, isn't it, to go and do it, and I get that, but I think what we've got to do, and the way to think of it is this: as you know, the lockdown is slowly coming to an end. And my views, and I've spoken to you about this on many occasions, my views on all of this anyway, so I don't need to repeat that. But now is the time we step up, and what I mean by that is, when we go back into college, now is the time that we go and use everything we've done and put it into practice. We don't waste what we've done, because if you waste the learning time we spent, then that's just silly, isn't it? So we go and put into practice what we've done. And we know where we stand with the 3 exams we've got to do, and you know where we stand with the practical. And for example, the first session that we did online was based upon your practical folders, so you'll be needing all of those notes that we did to take in to start to work on those. And the idea will be to push forward as quickly as possible, and that's what we will do. We won't compromise quality, but we will ensure we make very good progress and very quick progress, because that's what we will be required to do. So that's where we are. So the next 2 weeks are going to be critical. In terms of them being critical, is the 2 weeks leading up before you go into college are always going to be critical, because we're covering the last 3 sort of segments, aren't we, that we need to do. And then technically the theoretical delivery is complete. Now, it's not to say we won't be able to do the odd revision session, but I won't be planning for it as such in college, because the simple fact is we need all the time to do the practical work, and you've lost a bit of time doing the practical. So we need to kind of swing it round, if that makes sense. So the more practical we do, it will balance itself out, which I think is a bit of a no-brainer for most people to understand. So that's the way that we're going to approach it. But attending all the sessions, including especially the online ones at the minute, it is a must, because what I do with most sessions. We don't spend a session not progressing. We do progress on every session. We are doing something all of the time. And as you know how I work, it's all relevant to what you're doing. It's relevant to what you need to know. So that's how we push, and that's how we progress. So, please don't think you can sort of pick and choose a little session not to go to. It is noted on a register. It's noted on your attendance, and that's where it's seen. So, that's down to you guys to look at, and the ones that are watching the video will know whether it applies to you or not. I've tried to call a few people this afternoon. It's Monday afternoon. It's about 10 to 5 now. I've called a few people this afternoon, and they've just not picked up the phone. Might be because they're doing something else, but sometimes it might be because they know they've been caught out a little bit. It's a bit silly, and I ain't got time for that, and neither probably have you. So can we just get on to that and get that sorted, because the attendance needs to improve, and the college target's 95%, which is quite tall, but I wouldn't say it's unachievable. So let's get as near to it as we can, and some of you are pretty much over it and on it, and some of you are under it. and we know for some of the reasons why you're under, but we need to work to get that up, because attendance will equal completion, and that's how it works. If you keep going to do something, you, by chances are, by whether you think it's luck or it's not, but educational guess, you'd pass something because you've been attending it so often to do it. And that's the point I'm trying to put across. And that's what you need to think about. Now is the key time. Now is a real key time to do. So the next 2 weeks are extremely important. Okay, and have that in the forefront of your mind. They're extremely important because we're preparing to go back to do what we need to do. You've all worked superbly hard. Don't waste that work, and not then go in and sort of fluff your lines if you want to say when you get back into college. Let's go in and get the job done. That's what it's going to be about, and that's how I'm going to be. That's how I'll be when I'm in college. Let's go and just get the job done. Because as I said to you, there's nothing to say, and let's touch wood. We hope it doesn't happen. There's nothing to say we don't have another lockdown at some other point. And fingers crossed and various other things, and touching wood and everything else you want to do, it doesn't happen. But if it did, let's get ourselves in even a better position where everyone's virtually complete, and that's the way to look at it. Okay, so please remember, that's the idea and the logic behind all of that, in case you already know. So let's make sure we get it right. Last thing I want to touch on, because I don't want this to be a very long video, is to do with work experience and people working throughout this period of time. And I know it's coming to an end, and you might say, well, it's a bit late to tell me about this. I don't think it is, because I've had many conversations one-to-one, and I don't need to publish a video to tell you about the conversations. It's just one of them things. It just makes me smile sometimes. I sort of say, oh, you've not told me. I did about 5 weeks ago, but there we go. Memories and all that, so on and so forth. I have to smile. But in terms of going out doing sort of work experience in this time, can we all be mindful of something? And I'm going to point out the obvious, because I'm very good at pointing out the obvious. I've been told on many occasions, you're very good at pointing out the obvious. Can we remember, I'm not being patronising by the way either, it's a bit more tongue-in-cheek, but can we remember there's a virus going around, and that really, unless it's absolute necessary, we don't go and do stuff. And that would be work experience, because I don't see work experience being absolutely necessary. Somebody working that has a job that's paid on a proper contract, etc., then that's a different story, isn't it? Because it is a necessity, because to earn money to live. But just going to have some work experience, or even, dare I say, cash in hand, not essential, is it, really? And not right in some respects as well, if you think about it. It's not really right, is it? And it's not... Do you see what I mean? We're defeating the object of what we're trying to achieve slightly by doing that. And I understand people want to get out and about, and I get that, and it can be good for mental health and various other things as well. But I think there's a safer way to do this than that. And some of the other part of me, if I'm honest, thinks people just want to grab a bit of money while it's available, and half of me understands that, and the other half just says it's ridiculous. And the bit that says it's ridiculous is the fact that just wait until the pandemic's over. Well, not say over, it's eased, shall we say, probably the wrong choice of words there, but wait till it's eased and things become more safe to go and do that, then go and do that. There's a particular student I can think of who's going to go and do his over an Easter break when we know things are going to be a bit more eased, and he's doing it out of college time, so therefore it doesn't affect college. That to me is a sensible approach. The non-sensible approach is going to do it and missing a whole week's worth of college and doing something that's completely unrelated to whatever your program is. That's completely unsensible, in my opinion. You might have a completely different point of view, and that's fine, and the world goes round with everybody's different points of view. We can always agree to disagree. But I think your safety needs to be thought of, and I think there's a bigger picture. Worst case scenario is you go out doing that, you come home 3-4 days later, you have symptoms, then your family have symptoms, you all get a test and find you have it. It's actually been avoidable then, isn't it? And that's what I'm trying to say to people. And I don't knock people's willingness to work, I don't. It's a good quality to have, so this isn't as a moan at people, but I think you've got to look at a bigger picture and put yourself in my position. A lot of you have said to you, when you've asked about it, I said, well, is there not a better opportunity to do this? Is there not a more of appropriate time? Do you not think you're risking yourselves? And those questions are based to you, sort of suggesting in a nice way, it's not really a clever idea. Now, whether people want me to be so blunt and say, no, that's absolutely ridiculous, what do you think you're doing? I don't know. But I try and treat people with adults, and I know your parents have been involved in terms of talking with you about doing some of these things. And, to me, sometimes I just think some of the wrong decisions get made. Now, you could argue that with me, and I'm quite happy to have that conversation with you. But we need to think a bit more realistically, don't we? And the other thing that it does, it will affect your college. It will affect it. I don't think people are understanding how it will affect it. It's like having your cake and eat it. So can I do my work experience, and can you send me something else? I'll do it in my own time. Well, I know you ain't going to do it in your own time, that's point number one. And secondly, why should I do more hours to compensate you doing that? Well, I don't mind it. You know I do more hours anyway. It's not the point of it. The point of it is, why should someone else have to be affected with you doing something really, technically, that you shouldn't be doing, because you should be doing your college stuff? That's the point I'm making. And I'm not in a personal dig at anybody. It's just that's the point of view. And that's the issue. And then you'll get to college, and then the worry will be that you'll do your exam and you'll fail it, and then you'll say, oh, I failed that exam, I really struggled. Well, yeah, because you didn't come to some of the sessions. And that'll be the point. And it sounds very obvious what I'm saying, and if you step back and look at it, you'd think, yeah, it makes sense. It's not rocket science what I'm saying, it isn't. And it's just, you need to have that thought. Don't get carried away in the fact you can go out and do something and it's great, but after that week it stops because that's it. And you realise you've missed, a unit and a half worth of delivery, and you don't know anything. Let's say about hot water, for example, you know absolutely nothing about it, and you've got an exam to do. That's a little worrying, isn't it? And that's the way to think about it. So can we please just take a step back in some cases and think about what we're doing and why we're doing it? And also, thirdly, the bigger picture. Yeah, the bigger picture. Because getting a qualification will hold you in so much more better stead, having a qualification, than not having one. Okay? Don't undo the work you've done so far this year, because you can undo it very quickly. We've made fantastic progress from September all the way to December. We did, and I've said that before, and I stand by that. Progress was fantastic. We get into January, and I would say 90% of you have worked your socks off and been fantastic all the way through, and are ready to go and finish this. And some of you are sort of lagged off a little bit. Let's get it sorted out. Yeah, come on, because let's get finished, and as soon as we get in, we can get that done. But let's be sensible about our approach. Let's think about things logically, and opportunities present themselves at other times as well. It's not a one-off special, is it? It's not like here's your chance to win the winning lottery ticket. You've got just this week to get it, and if you don't, you'll never get it again in your life. It's nothing to do with that, is it? Opportunities will present themselves throughout time, and that's what will happen. And as we start to ease a lockdown, think about it logically. More opportunities would present themselves because we're easing out. So therefore, just wait. There's nothing worse than you going for a job interview in June, July for an apprenticeship and saying, how did you get on with your college course? Well, I didn't pass it. Why not? Because I missed too much stuff because I was doing work experience. So what were you doing? I don't know. I was mowing someone's grass. That's obviously no one's done that, by the way. It's just a random thing that popped into my mind. But the employer's going to go, so you went on a course and didn't pass it because you were doing something else. Yeah, right, okay. That's what you've got to look at. Okay? So, anyway, enough from me. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and I'll speak to you all later on this week.